The airport smelled faintly of coffee and exhaustion, that mixture of hurried breakfasts, suitcases bumping against polished floors, and the quiet anxiety that comes with travel. Daniel Hayes stood in line at the gate with his 5-year-old daughter, Lily, clutching his hand. He wasn't dressed like the other passengers, no sleek suit, no shiny carry-on, but in his worn jeans and a faded jacket, the look of a man who had seen too many long days and sleepless nights. It had been 2 years since cancer stole his wife, and he had been navigating single fatherhood ever since. Today wasn't just another flight, it was a lifeline. He had scraped together every last dollar from 2 jobs to buy this ticket to New York, where a specialist might be able to help Lily with the hearing loss that had slowly dimmed her laughter. The last seat had been a miracle, though it meant he couldn't sit with her. "Daddy, I don't want to sit alone," Lily whispered, her big brown eyes brimming with fear. Daniel crouched, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "I'll be right behind you, Peanut. Just 1 row away. You'll see me every time you turn around." She tried to smile, but her tiny hand tightened around his. The gate agent called boarding, and soon the shuffle of passengers began. Daniel walked Lily to her seat in the cramped coach cabin. She clutched her stuffed bunny, Snowdrop, as if it were a lifeline. He kissed her forehead, whispered a prayer under his breath, and squeezed into his own narrow seat near the back. The plane filled quickly, business travelers scrolling on phones, vacationers already dreaming of beaches. Daniel felt out of place, weighed down not just by his backpack but by years of struggle, guilt, and hope clashing inside him. As the flight attendants prepared for takeoff, he closed his eyes, silently begging for strength. That's when he heard the voice. "Excuse me." He looked up. A woman in a tailored navy dress stood in the aisle beside his row. She wasn't like the other passengers, there was a quiet grace about her, the kind of presence that turned heads without trying. She glanced at Lily a few rows ahead, then back at Daniel. "Is she your daughter?" she asked gently. "Yes, ma'am," Daniel replied, bracing himself. He expected a complaint, that his daughter might cry, or that they were holding things up. Instead, she smiled. "I couldn't help but notice you were separated. Why don't you bring her up front with you?" Daniel blinked, confused. "Up front? Yes," she said simply, with a warmth that left no room for doubt. "First class." The words didn't register at first. First class was a world he had only ever glimpsed in passing, the wide seats, champagne glasses, and legroom his life would never afford. He shook his head quickly. I mean, thank you, but we'll be fine." "That's too much." But she placed a hand lightly on his arm. "I insist. No child should fly without her father by her side. And besides," she added with a conspiratorial smile, "I think she deserves a little extra comfort, don't you?" Before Daniel could protest again, the flight attendant appeared, already aware of what was happening. "Sir, if you'll follow me, we'll get you both settled." Lily's eyes widened when Daniel came to her row and whispered, "Come on, Peanut." We're sitting together. She hugged Snowdrop tighter and skipped beside him, her nervousness replaced with a smile that lit up her small face. When they reached the first-class cabin, Daniel's breath caught. Plush seats, glowing lights, space enough for Lily to curl up without bumping her knees, it was another world. The woman gestured for them to take her seat by the window. "But where will you sit?" Daniel asked, still stunned. She laughed softly. "There's always another seat. For me. Don't worry." The attendants guided Daniel and Lily into the wide chairs, and for the first time in years, Daniel felt like life was giving him something instead of taking it away. He turned to thank the woman, but she had already slipped quietly back down the aisle. Dash dash dash. As the plane soared into the clouds, Daniel held Lily's hand. She pressed her forehead against the window, whispering, "It feels like we're flying in a castle." He smiled, though his eyes stung. "Yes, Peanut. A castle in the sky." The hours passed, and with each passing minute, Daniel thought more about the woman's gesture. Why would a stranger give up such comfort for them? He wanted to thank her, to explain what it meant, that this wasn't just about a seat. It was about hope, dignity, and reminding a tired father that kindness still existed. Halfway through the flight, a flight attendant approached. "Mr. Hayes." "Yes." The attendant handed him a folded note. "The lady who offered her seat asked me to give this to you." His heart pounded as he opened it. The handwriting was elegant, almost old-fashioned. "I don't know your story, but I could see the weight you carry and the love in your daughter's eyes. Life can be cruel, but sometimes it also gives us chances to remind each other that we're not alone. I hope this small gesture lightens your journey, Grace." Daniel read it twice, his throat tight. Grace. The name felt like something out of a prayer. He tucked the note into his jacket pocket like a treasure. Dash dash dash. When the plane landed in New York, Daniel carried Lily off with Snowdrop tucked under her arm. He searched for Grace in the crowd, but she was gone, disappearing into the sea of travelers as quietly as she had arrived. Days later, after endless appointments and tests, Daniel sat in a sterile doctor's office. The specialist explained that while Lily's condition was serious, there was hope, a new treatment with a high success rate. But the cost was staggering, far beyond anything Daniel could afford. That night, sitting by Lily's bed in their budget motel, Daniel felt the crushing weight of defeat. She slept peacefully, Snowdrop cradled against her, unaware of the impossible choices her father faced. He buried his face in his hands, whispering, "God, I don't know how to do this anymore." And then, as if on cue, there was a knock on the door. He opened it to find a hotel staff member holding an envelope. "This was left for you at the front desk, sir." Confused, Daniel took it. Inside was a letter, and a check. His breath stopped. "Mr. Hayes, you don't know me, but I believe in your journey. Someone once gave me hope when I had none, and now I have the chance to pass it on. Please use this for Lily's treatment. She deserves the world. Grace." The check was enough. More than enough. Daniel sank to the floor, overcome. Tears blurred his vision as he clutched the letter. Lily stirred, half awake. "Daddy, what's wrong?" He kissed her forehead, voice trembling. "Nothing's wrong, Peanut. Everything's going to be okay." Months later, Daniel sat in a small auditorium as Lily performed in her kindergarten recital. She sang with the other children, her voice clear and bright, no longer muffled by silence. Daniel's chest swelled with pride and gratitude. He spotted a familiar figure at the back of the room, Grace, quietly watching, her smile soft and content. She hadn't announced herself, hadn't asked for thanks. But their eyes met across the room, and in that single moment, everything was said. Daniel mouthed the words, "Thank you." Grace simply nodded, her eyes shining with quiet joy, before slipping out the door. Years later, when Lily was old enough to understand, Daniel told her the story of the flight, the woman named Grace, and the miracle that followed. Lily listened, tears glistening in her eyes. "Daddy," she whispered, "when I grow up, I want to be like her." Daniel hugged her tightly, his heart full. "That's all I could ever hope for, Peanut." And so the legacy of a single act of kindness lived on, spreading from one stranger's generosity to a father's gratitude to a little girl's future promise. Because sometimes, the greatest journeys don't begin when a plane takes off, but when a stranger says, "Bring him here."